And I can go as far as saying Umar Johnson don't even like black men. Let's really talk about it. Anytime where a so-called most requested black scholar can say out of his mouth, I want y'all to listen to me. Get out your feelings and listen to what I'm saying. Anytime when he can say, oh, your wife doesn't think so, and I'm 6'3" and you're not.
Welcome back to Uncle Mo TV. As you can see from the thumbnail, what it's gonna be about, Dr. Umar recently did a radio interview with one of his friends. And I say friends because you could clearly see that it was biased, but he wanted to get his side of the story out. So we get to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. We get to debunk some of the stuff that he's gonna say. It's like an hour and a half long. So we only gonna get into it like a couple of parts. We're gonna have to break this thing up into parts. So without further ado, let's get to it.
Tell me, you as a psychologist, what is wrong with our people that do stuff like that?
Well, to be honest with you, Baba, as the self-hate relates to me and the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy campaign, honestly, I'm kind of numb to it. And I'm kind of numb to it because I've been dealing with it since we first started the fundraiser back in April of 2014. If you can remember, what started this entire process was an attempt to purchase HBCU St. Paul's College in Lawrenceville, Virginia, when it was put up for auction back in April of 2014. And so when I heard about that, I initially went to work to try to raise the funds to secure the HBCU St. Paul's campus. And from the very beginning, struggle streamers from YouTube, other haters, disgruntled former associates, black bourgeoisies, rainbow gangers, everybody, they contacted the auction company and they tried to prevent them from accepting our bid. We wasn't able to raise enough money anyway, so it ultimately didn't matter one way or the other, but I'm just bringing it up to let you know that the hate is...
As you can see from the start, no accountability. He said he didn't even have enough funds to make a bid, but he blaming everybody else on why he wasn't able to get the building. From the start, you know where this interview is going. But let's go.
As old as the project. It's not a new thing. I think in some respects it's gotten worse because the closer we get to the finish line, the more intense the opposition becomes. But I always like to keep it in perspective by saying that for every enemy of the program, there's a million supporters. The difference between the haters and the congratulators are that the congratulators are mature people with emotional intelligence and self-control. The haters are immature people without emotional intelligence and without self-control. The congratulators, the supporters, and the donors, they have a life. They have things to do. So they're not consumed with the day-to-day happenings of FDMG because they trust in our team and they trust in me. As opposed to the detractors, they don't have anything to do except make YouTube videos. They have no life, they have no goals, they have no agenda for themselves, no purpose, so they can spend all day, every day, talking about FDMG, slandering. I've heard more lies from people this month than I've heard in 11 years.
The crazy thing is, when he say he heard more lies, he's talking about people replaying his lives and how he talks in his life. Was it a lie when he said that he owes the money and that his accounts was frozen? Maybe. A lot of us believe that. Now, with recent developments, a lot of people believe that his accounts was frozen due to him owing these property taxes and these vacant registration fees that he's failing to take accountability. We all have bills and we all know that you have to pay your bills. If you pay it late, you're gonna have to pay a fee. And a lot of this stuff is automated systems. And what he failed to realize is that this ain't the 1920s. People could research their stuff on. You have a non-profit, that means that all your stuff is public records. Let's go.
Like the clips that people send me, because I don't watch the stuff. I can't watch it because it'll force me to respond. If I watch a hater's video, Baba, I'll be forced to respond. It's hard to sit there and just hear lie after lie after lie and not say anything. So I don't listen. But people do send me clips that they think are very important for me to take note of. But just getting back to my point, I'm so used to it that that's not the issue for me. The issue for me, Baba, today, as we sit here on the final day of Black August 2025, which August the 31st was declared by the Right Excellent Most Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey in the UNIA in Harlem, New York City, August of 1920. August the 31st, the final day of Black August, was declared an international holiday for all African people throughout the entire world. And so this is a day that we celebrate being African. This is a day we celebrate being proud to be African, as this day was set aside by the Garveyites of August of 1920 as an international holiday. Now, with that being said, I want to briefly, Baba, give you a summary of the war. I'm going to call it a war because I believe the city government of Wilmington and the Negro bureaucracy has declared war on the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. I absolutely believe that. Let me give you a quick timeline. In October of 2024, I emailed the Secretary for Vacant Properties for the City of Wilmington, Delaware. I was requesting a waiver because in the City of Wilmington, if you are a 501 nonprofit organization, you can get a one-time 4-year waiver, so you don't have to pay the vacant property registration fee, which is $5,000 per year. So I requested a waiver on October the 14th of 2024. The Secretary for Vacant Properties responded, and she said, if you get a bill on November the 1st, which is 2 weeks later, October 14th, she says on November the 1st, if you get a bill, you can apply for the waiver, and you need to include the bill number, the bill amount, and any evidence that you are working on this building. Well, Baba, on October 14th, I already asked for the waiver. I already asked for it. So there's no need for me to submit a new one on November the 1st because you have it right here, right now. But because she didn't want to process my waiver, she didn't want to put it through, so she says, you have to do it again, basically, and add the bill number and the amount and any evidence that you're working on the school. Now, to the evidence, Baba, the electricity, the plumbing, and the HVAC has already been repaired, inspected, and approved by L&I for more than a year. So when she's asking for proof of renovation, the renovations are done, the major ones.
You see how he's deflecting right there? He says she asked for proof. He never said he gave her proof. He's saying that all the major stuff is done. You know what else that means? He was doing work without permits. He wasn't going through the city, or they would have proof. You know what I'm saying? And he keep asking for this registration fee, which we're going to bring it up. I'm going to let him finish. But it clearly stated on a website on the actual registration fee waiver that they don't waive past due fees. So we'll break it down on that too, but let's let him go. Like I said, this is going to be a multiple part series.
We're just dealing with the superficials right now, and the only thing left is the floor. We got to retile the floor, Baba. That's it. So if I already sent you an application for a waiver, why did you not process it? Why did you tell me I got to resubmit it again on November the 1st with the bill number and the amount? You already know the bill number because the bill comes from you. You already know the amount comes from you. So basically, Baba, she didn't want to process our waiver. And because she didn't want to process our waiver, she said it had to be resubmitted once I get a bill in the mail with the bill number and the bill amount, as opposed to just processing the waiver and adding the bill number and the bill amount to it. Keep in mind, Baba, all city offices are in the same building. All of them. So if she needed to get something from finance, she could go downstairs, or just pick up the phone. So this is what you call being difficult. So anyway, let's continue.
Yeah, let's continue. Just hear how he is. I think Dr. Umar is one of the people that shows you that you can have an education, but don't mean that you're educated, because his ego is getting in the way. The reason the school ain't done is because of his ego. The reason why he didn't get this waiver is because of his ego. He's forgetting that guy that put out the information that they contacted them, which he asked everybody to contact them to protest. He didn't expect people was going to contact them to get the information on what's really going on. But just because I work in one office or one department, who are you to expect me to stop what I'm doing and go to all these different places? Like, he don't understand how business work. Like, he needed a property manager, a lawyer, a title company, somebody else that can handle that stuff. Like, you might be good at African American history and Pan-African history, but you're terrible at management and how to run a business. Because even you starting a school, even though it's education, from what he's trying to do, that's a business you're trying to start up. And the only reason I feel he don't want to take no money from the government is because he has to account for it. And he's gaslighting black people to feel like they are doing a good thing by donating to him, but he's not showing anything. He's not showing anything that the funds is actually going towards. He bought 2 vacant properties and then didn't know what we have to do to occupy those properties. And if he would have did what he's supposed to do 6 years ago, when he bought the property, he wouldn't be in this predicament. Because he keeps saying they went up on this stuff, but he's not understanding his timelines. But I'm getting a little too deep into what he's about to say next or upcoming. So I'm gonna let him say that part, then I'll break it down some more.
That's October. On March the 7th, I get a letter saying that we may sell your property. You may go to Superior Court to get a judgment against you and put a sheriff lien and possible sheriff sale against your property if you don't satisfy this amount that you owe us. The amount at the time, Baba, was about $70,000.
Wow.
Let me tell you what it was for. $30,000 was for water. Baba, we don't use no water because nobody is in the school. I want the listeners to understand me. The City of Wilmington is trying to defunct our school through nonsense fees. I'm going to say it again. The city government of Wilmington, Delaware, and the Negro bureaucracy, and I'm saying the Negro bureaucracy because most of the people who are sabotaging us look just like us.
Oh, my goodness.
I want to be very clear about this. Even though the mayor is Caucasian, he don't really have nothing to do with this. This is all Negro. Now, the L&I commissioner, I believe he's a Latino gentleman. He's the only person involved in this who's not black. Everybody else sabotaging us is black. So let's look at this, Baba. $30,000 in water. We get our water bill every month for both schools, because remember, we got 2. Mm-hmm. Our water bill combined every month is about $3,000. Baba, we don't use no water. Mm-mm. We don't use no water. But I'm being told you still have to pay this because of sewage and rain. In other words, when it rains and the water runs off of our building into the drain, we got to pay for that. Mm.
Okay. You pay your water bill off of the meter. You got to look at a meter. They don't how would they calculate how much water went into the drain? I called my company about that out here where I live at for my house, and they told me they calculated off the amount of water you use that month. That's how they calculate an estimate on how much water went down the drain. And it goes towards trash pickup too in some places. It's sanitation. It's sewage and sanitation. Not just that. And if you got a vacant property that probably was filthy, that they had to send somebody out there to clean it up, they will charge you for that.
So $30,000 30,000. So they said you got to satisfy this bill, Baba. This is a letter dated March the 7th. You got to satisfy this bill, or we're going to get a judgment against you in Superior Court, and we're going to do a sheriff lien and sale, right? March 7th. So guess what I do, Baba? We pay off the $30,000 in water that we should not owe because we don't use any water. We pay it off. The whole thing. Boom! That's out. So what are we left with, Baba? We're left with vacant property registration fees, which are $5,000 a year, and we owe them for 3 years. So that's $15,000 for the Frederick Douglass High School. That's $15,000 for the Marcus Garvey Elementary School. So that's $30,000. Mm-hmm. And then whatever was left after that, Baba, that's just little hit and miss fees. That ain't nothing. So basically, you were dealing with water and vacant property, neither of which we should owe. Why? Because we don't use no water. And as far as vacant property goes, Baba, they should have retroactively applied our 4-year vacant property registration fee. And if they would have retroactively applied it, Baba, we would have owed zero. So we just paid the City of Wilmington, Delaware, $70,000 in nonsense fees. Now, it gets worse, Baba. Guess what they decided in 2023? The City Council of Wilmington in 2023 decided to raise the vacant property registration fee. If your building has been vacant for 5 years, they decided in 2023 to raise the vacant property registration fee from $5,000 to $12,000.
Wow.
That's true.
So what that means, Baba, if we don't get a waiver, and
so I don't forget, that's true, but he's telling partial truths, but I'm going to pull it up. It's true what he's saying, but also listen to what he said. He said he did not contact the city until October of 2024. If the board, the city council, had changed the fees in 2023, it was already $12,000 before he even tried to do it. But once I pull out the application, you're gonna see the partial truths he's telling, because he's acting like it's a compound fee when it's not.
I'm telling y'all right now, if we don't get a waiver, we're gonna have to march. This is gonna have to be a protest, because what they're doing to us is unfair and it's unjust, and we'll get to that in a minute. But if we don't get the vacant property registration fee waiver for 2025, and that bill comes out November the 1st, that's $12,000 for the Garvey building. That's $12,000 for the Douglas building. Baba, that's $24,000 more dollars.
Wow.
On top of the 70. Do you know what that means? In 1 year, we would have paid the City of Wilmington government almost $100,000 on nonsense fees, Baba. Nonsense. And I'm calling them nonsense because we shouldn't have to pay them at all as a nonprofit building a school to improve a neighborhood that is impoverished. This is crazy. $30,000 in water. We don't use no water. $30,000 on back vacant property registration. We should have had our waiver. And now y'all jumped the price up from $5,000 a year to $12,000 a year going forward, which means we will owe $25,000 at the end of this year for vacant property. That's 70 and 25. That's $95,000 we just threw away on nonsense fees.
Was the water being metered?
The water is metered, and when you look at the meter, Baba, because we're not in there, it shows no usage. It shows no usage. But again, I was told when it rains, the water runs off your building into the drain. You have to pay for storm water and sewage.
Wow.
So we don't have no sewage.
But how do they measure that?
It's a set. I think it's a set amount. I don't know how they do it. It is a mystery. I still don't understand. It is a mystery. How can
See, the elder's asking the right questions, but he definitely don't want to give Umar any pushbacks, because he's asking the right questions. And in my heart, this is just my opinion, he giving that smirk because he knows that Umar's full of it. You get what I'm saying? He knows he's full of it because, yeah, it could be a set fee. A lot of y'all that have been on my channel before know I'm in the military. Usually when I go on deployments, which can be almost a year, or a year more, or because you got to do other things to work up for deployment that I was on. So from pretty much there near, there go my job right there, right there. But pretty much, my house was empty for almost like a year and a half. You know, 2 things happened during that time. One, I went away for like over a month and I had a leak, and the leak was coming from my upstairs bathroom and it flooded downstairs, right? So I don't know how long it was leaking, but I was going for like a month, but my water bill skyrocketed. You can contact the company. When you contact your public utilities and tell them what happened, once you show that you fixed the repairs, let's say if it was a toilet and you changed it out or whatever may have you, you can you can change it. You get what I'm saying? They will give you a discounted rate or will take it off. It depends on when you contact them, but they will work with you as long as you contact them. I think you got like 6 months to contact them, and then you show them the proof that you did those repairs, like the receipt. If you did it yourself, that you went to Home Depot or any home improvement stores and say, hey, I have replaced the toilet, I did this. Even if you filling up a pool, they will give you a discounted rate. You show them, hey, I'm filling up a pool. You let them know. Where he's lying at, if you get into it, is he want people to do him a favor. He's mixing business with personal favors. He want the city of Delaware to give him a favor, because on the application, it is nowhere that says he can do the things he's saying he want to do. Then he's gonna say, hey, I was asking, can y'all do it for me this one time? The world don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? You're not the only vacant one. They have these registration fees because imagine if you had a whole city full of vacant properties. You know what I'm saying? Just imagine that. You got a whole city doing vacant properties. You want to hold the owners accountable because you want to clean up your city. That's not gentrification. Gentrification is letting the properties go down in value in order to get them, and then you fix them up and boost the value. They're trying to clean up their city by not having a bunch of vacant properties just sitting around. Get what I'm saying? And that's what it really is. But we're gonna dive into that. So right here is the application fee for it, right? But we'll go first to the website. On the website, the Wilmington website, the City of Wilmington, it shows the appeal of vacant property fee, right? So on there, I want to point out, like, I'm gonna give Umar his credit, but he's using half truth. He's using the truth to lie. So on here, let's go to the nonprofit, right? A 4-year waiver of registration fees may be requested if the owner meets the criteria for a nonprofit organization as defined by Section 501, pretty much the tax code on IRS, right? As you can see on their website, they have it highlighted. 2 things important. Documents that establish the conditions of your waiver must be included in your waiver request letter. Now, allegedly, when one of them YouTubers hit him up, and that's why I think he's trying to put down the guy who responded to him, in that email, he said that Umar never officially submitted a waiver. He submitted a picture of his 501c to show that he has a nonprofit status, but he never filled out the whole waiver paperwork, right? But it says that must be part of it. Then it said all properties must be registered to receive a waiver. Past due vacant fees cannot receive a waiver. Umar's admitting he did not speak to these people to October of 2024. He also admit and is shown that he bought that property in 2019. And if you could buy a property, if you do it wrong, with liens already on it, and from what was said in the beginning way back, these liens for the water is from 2016 before he bought the property. But by him not buying it, obviously, or having the wrong people as his counsel, he bought the property with outstanding bills already on it. You dig? And he's telling us BS, but he's mixing the truth. He's using the truth to disguise his lies. But as you can see on their thing, you cannot waive past due fees. Now, remember his other lie he said was the prices of it. You know, on my last video, I went to the actual city statute and you seen it one line and everything. But when you click on the registration form and the annual fees, right? On the annual fees for them, hopefully y'all can see. Let me see if I can zoom in a little more for you. Okay. And this is from their website. I clicked on it. As you can see, Department of License and Inspections, right? A summary of the annual registration of break and bill fees. So we're gonna skip down because they got a lot. What do anybody notice right off top? It's highlighted. Past due fees are not subject to requests for a waiver. He said he contacted the lady and requested her. He asked, he tried to get a favor out of it because he's the Prince of Pan-Africanism. That holds no weight. You gave yourself that title and it means nothing. You can't say save our school. You don't have a school. You have abandoned buildings that the city wants to be up. And if you don't got them up and running, you got to pay the fee, right? So on here, the way he said it, right? He making it seem like this is compound prices when you do your business the correct way, right? If he would have went in 2019 when he applied for when he bought the building, he should have applied for a waiver right there. He didn't handle his business, so now his business is handling him 6 years later. If he had applied for a waiver then, he could have did the 5-year waiver then. Back then it was cheaper. It was like 10,000 or 5 or 10,000 back then, you know? Then they changed it over time. And as you can see, your registration fee for this year is based upon the total number of years the property has been vacant as of November 1st, regardless of varying ownership during the period of vacancy. So he bought the property. We don't know how long it was vacant for. And then they put out the updated fees is scheduled as followed. If your joint is vacant less than a year, you pay $0. If you're gonna have it at least a year that is gonna be vacant, but less than 2 years, $500. At least 2 years, but less than 3 years, $2,500. At least 3 years, but less than 4 years, $5,000. And if you're gonna have it for 4 years, but less than 5, $10,000. If you're gonna have it for 5 years or more, you will pay $12,000. So what that say from my comprehension is, if I have this at 20, like say I know off top that I'm not gonna be able to do the repairs and have the money because I don't want to take out no grants or loans, but my budget is I can do this within 6 years. I have to automatically apply for the 5-year extension, and it's gonna cost $12,000 out of pocket, you know, or however you get your funds, you know. But they're making it clear right underneath there. Past due fees are not subject to request a waiver. So with Umar telling people this and that and that and this, like he went, oh, no, you were still owed, because even if you went off of that, you didn't apply for this when you bought the building. So you still owe fees. You might not have owed as much, but you could have paid. Let's say if it was only vacant for a year or two before that, back then he would have paid about the $500 and then get everything else waived. But he thought he was above having to handle his business. He thought he was above it. He thought because he was coming to an underpublished area that he would have certain leniencies. It don't work like that. So then what else? If he'd have just read on their website, what else was sold them? Okay. All right. The failure or refusal for any reason of any owner or agent acting on the behalf of an owner to register a vacant property or a vacant building to pay any required fees pursuant to the provision of this section within 30 days after they become due shall constitute a violation punishable upon conviction, therefore by a fine in the amount of not less than $100 nor more than $500 for each failure to refusal to register. So that's the other fees he's talking about, because he didn't register for, if he's saying 2024, for 5 years, in between 100 to 500 a year, he got to pay too on top of that, right? And let's just say a year, because this changed in 2023, it probably was less than that, you know? Where was I at? Or each failure or refusal to pay a required vacant building fee as applicable in such cases, whenever the minimum fine is $100 as opposed, it shall not be subject to suspension or reduction for any reason. You can't ask a daggone secretary or clerk to change something that the city council done put into effect. You know what I mean? It don't matter. She don't have that type of power. Right? And I gotta send some stuff to work. That is it. Okay. Okay, delinquent registration fees as a lien. After the owner is given notice of the amount of the registration fees due, except for those owners who have properly perfected an appeal, that means you got approved, or received a waiver, and the owner fails to pay the amount due, said shall constitute a debt due and owing to the city, and the city may commence a civil action to collect the unpaid debt. The unpaid debt amount constitutes a lien on the property. It's written right there in plain black and white, Umar. If they told you in March you gotta pay this money and you're asking can they do you a one-time favor, and then when August they're putting your stuff up, they gave you more than enough time to get your stuff right, make a payment plan, do something and move forward. But you, all this, they didn't answer you and all this stuff. You could have went down there in person. It's on the website, the address, literally. As y'all see, yeah, he could have, as you can see on the website, he could have went down there. On the website, it clearly tell you the hours of operation. It tell you if you outside the city limit, where you could call from. Everything is right here. It's mapped out. Even got a Google Links map on how to get there. He thought he was above the program, so now he gotta deal with the consequences of that.